At this time last August, Washington, D.C. passed Detroit in per capita murders with 216. By year's end, the toll stood at 372. Local police officials say they see a change in criminal philosophy, and it scares them. Alpha 10, please. Okay, thank you. Can you turn me off camera, please? Thank you. Peter, what does Dora LeBlanc's husband do? Do you know?
He's like a home, he's like a home,
And what's his name?
William LeBlanc.
Where does he live?
Maine. They live in Maine. We're trying to keep it short, but I guess.
Oh, we got to tell the viewers who the president's daughter is married to and separated from. Don't shorten out the facts. Let me know when I have 30 seconds, please. Peter, can you give me a tight final graph to add to that? Let me have that back. Who wrote this racial in Vineland? Trish? Where's your attribution for this last graph? The white police officer allegedly shot the black man after the black man threatened to kill him with a steel rod. Is that the report of the police? If it is, we've got to say that.
That's the police account.
Yeah, that's...
According to the police department?
Right.
Okay, we got to say that. When am I up? Okay. Jury deliberations in the trial of hotel owner Leona Helmsley will go into a fifth day tomorrow. Helmsley is charged with evading $1.2 million in taxes. It is believed today jurors were studying the last of 47 counts.
Okay, Randy, what's my absolute latest? 60, 56, 10? Huh? I hope they do a quick rep here, then tell them. I ain't gonna make it. Dave and Donna will anchor the news, a special series on healthcare, right, guys? Out of time. Night. How long is it closed, Ryan? Randy? How long is the close? Ready, Rand? 35. Ready? Just give me a 10-second cue. Ready? Thanks for joining us on this edition of Larry King Overnight. Fascinating discussion on in vitro fertilization and the lost or kept embryo. And Raymond Burr. Tomorrow night, Margaret Papandreou, the woman left out of that triangle story in Greece. And we'll also meet Andrew Greeley, the very prolific and never dull Catholic priest who writes some spicy novels. By the way, Joan Rivers is going to join us on Thursday night. Larry King Overnight, a repeat of Larry King Live, which airs each evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. You have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Things have got to be going. I got an insurance shit.
I think that was it. I think that was it for Miami Vice.
Are we getting close, Valerie?
Oh.
Here in Washington, inauguration activities in full swing. Here in Washington, inauguration activities in full swing. Details next on News Center 7 tonight. Hello from Washington. A magnificent fireworks display as Washington gets ready for... Hello from Washington. A magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. Kicks off its weekend of activities. Yes, I can. Hello, Peter. How are you? I think, Peter, can you hear me now? Yes, I can hear you. I can't hear you very well. Yes. All right. I understand that. Boy, there are a lot of people around him or
Yeah,
something.
there sure are. A lot of background noise in Oakland. A lot of hubbub.
Here in Washington, inauguration activities in full swing. Okay. Here in Washington, inauguration activities in full swing. Details next on News Center 7 tonight. Hello from Washington, a magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. Hello from Washington, a magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. Hello from Washington, a magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. Hello from Washington. A magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. Okay. Hello from Washington, a magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. This is fireworks display. The inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. I know. Yes. Hello from Washington, a magnificent fireworks display as the inauguration kicks off its weekend of activities. I can't do anything about it, Ken. Does it look all right? Okay. Almost all of downtown Washington came to a standstill tonight with the first big inauguration thriller. Almost all of Washington came to a standstill tonight with the first big inauguration thriller. It was a...
This is the primary audio circuit from Viz News London.
Доброе утро.
Здравствуйте, товарищи. Сегодня газеты публикуют отчет о пребывании Михаила Сергеевича Горбачева в столице Латвии, Риге. 17 февраля генеральный секретарь ЦК КПСС возложил цветы к памятнику Владимира Ильича Ленина. Здесь же, в центре Риги, состоялись первые беседы товарища Горбачева с трудящимися Латвии. Затем Михаил Сергеевич посетил мемориальный памятник-музей латышских красных стрелков. В музее товарищ Горбачев тепло беседовал с ветеранами революции, красными стрелками, ветеранами Великой Отечественной войны. Он сделал запись в книге почетных посетителей музея. Во второй половине дня товарищ Горбачев посетил мемориальное братское кладбище и возложил венок советским воинам-освободителям у Вечного огня. Здесь состоялась его встреча с молодыми рижанами. Михаил Сергеевич Горбачев осмотрел выставку достижений народного хозяйства Латвийской ССР.
Несколько сообщений на экономическую...
Yeah, Lefevre. Ah, okay. Okay. We're not, this is a public building. It's got fluorescence.
I'll just hold it.
Okay.
Let me get a light real quick.
Well, that was a long stand-up. People live operate this.
You should be on this side in case someone comes to the door.
What do you mean something's going to go? I don't want to be in the way. Something's going to go.
Can New York hear me or not?
Okay.
Nobody's answering. Can New York hear me?
They've got your mic killed up there, I think, Chris.
What?
I think New York has your mic killed.
New York has the mic killed?
I believe, yeah.
Okay. If somebody can just ask, will they give me a cue to start?
Chris, just double check the next time you're talking. Is Kaplan going to cue him or Roger? Thanks.
Jim, the only thing I'd ask, if you can, and don't make a fuss about it, if they can just stay away from the door, that's, you know, off to the sides is fine. Just away from the door, because it's sort of right in my line of sight.
I had one lady trip over this, and I hate to see you.
I'll tell you, we'll sue your ass if it happens.
I just talked to my lawyer in Boston. I'm a speak to him. I said he's too busy.
I love it. The guy's a nice guy. He opens this door to us. I trip and fall. I make a fool of myself, and I sue you. Huh? Would that be great? Is that life?
I tell you. I'll be angry. This story's a little weird. Big Rick will cue you.
Okay. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Once again, we want to emphasize that what is...
Can we shut the air conditioner down too?
No, it's fine.
That hum is okay?
If it's on now, leave it on.
That doesn't bother you, that hum?
That hum doesn't bother you?
What? Well, let's leave. Wait a minute. Don't turn it off now. Let's leave it on till 5 minutes after 10.
All right.
You're going to hear traffic noise out there more than you're going to hear the air conditioning. Audio people can't hear. I can't see.
Once again, we want to emphasize. Once again, we want to emphasize that Tambacor is. Once again, we want to emphasize. Once again, we want to emphasize. Jesus, stop it. Once again, we want to emphasize. Jesus, stop it. Once again, we want to emphasize that Tambacor is an appropriate drug in some cases. Once again, we want to emphasize that Tambacor is an appropriate drug in some cases. So, if you're currently taking it, you should check with your doctor before you make any change. As for doctors and their responsibility, clearly some were paying more attention to all those glossy Riker ads than they were paying to all of the warnings. One top cardiologist said the doctors who knew the most used Tambacor the least. The doctors who knew the least used Tambacor the most. Once again, we want to emphasize that Tambacor is an appropriate. We want to emphasize that Tambacor is an effective drug. Jesus, can we ask them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we ask them to kill the feed to us for a few minutes while they're playing all these tapes? Just, you know, if they start. Thank you, guys. I can't hear myself think. Not that there's much to listen to, but. Yep. No, they killed it.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. They did it.
That's all right.
You know, an appropriate drug in some cases. So, if you're currently taking it, you should check with your doctor. So, if you're currently taking it, you should check with your doctor before making any change. Once again, we want to emphasize that Tambacor is an appropriate drug in some cases. So, if you're currently taking it, you should check with your doctor before you make any change. As for doctors and their responsibility, clearly some were paying more attention to those glossy Riker ads than they were to all the warnings. One top cardiologist said the doctors who knew the most used Tambacor the least, and the doctors who knew the least used Tambacor the most. Tambacor the least. And the doctors who knew the least used Tambacor the most. Doctors who knew the least. One top cardiologist said the doctors who knew the most used Tambacor the least. And the doctors who knew the least used Tambacor the most. Can we rehearse it one more time? And then maybe we'll do it once in the middle of the piece. Okay? Tell me when. Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, we want to emphasize that Tambacor is an appropriate drug in some cases. So if you're currently using it, you should check with your doctor before you make any change. As for doctors and their responsibility, some were clearly paying more attention to those glossy Riker ads than they were to all the warnings. One top cardiologist said the doctors who knew the most used Tambacor the least, and the doctors who knew the least used Tambacor the most. Diane? Okay?
Yeah, I couldn't understand you when you were talking to me there. You got so much feedback. Yeah, that's better. Chris, I think he should finish his Zoom before he does that roast wheat tagline. The camera should be in motion now.
What we've seen so far has been of sort of hairline fractures out at Candlestick Park, some major damage to some of the highways leading from Candlestick Park into the center of San Francisco. We have seen that one huge fire, and of course the Bay Bridge, which connects Oakland and San Francisco, one 30 to 50 foot segment of the upper level. That's a two-tiered bridge at that point. A 30 to 50 segment of that bridge, foot segment of that bridge has collapsed onto the lower section of the bridge. Still standing by at the White House is our White House correspondent, Britt Hume. Britt, any late word on what the federal government is doing?
Yeah, well, Ted, the latest information the White House has, and of course this is the worrisome thing, is that the greatest damage is in the Santa Cruz area. And of course that links with the information you got in that telephone report and suggests that in the areas to the south from which so little information has come is where the greatest trouble is. A couple of other things. Governor Sununu has apparently reached California Lieutenant Governor Leo McCarthy, and as a consequence of that phone call, Governor Sununu, has authorized an Air Force plane to fly California Governor George Deukmejian back to the United States from Frankfurt, which is either where Governor Deukmejian is at the moment or the nearest place from which he can fly, so he will soon presumably be bound back to the United States. That is the latest here, Ted.
All right, and just to sort of bring you a little bit up to date, I told you a moment ago that there was a report of at least 6 people who were crushed to death by a building that collapsed. Forgive me if I mispronounce it. It's Bluxome, Bluxome Street. Apparently part of an old building collapsed on a number of cars that were passing by, and at least 6 people were crushed to death when that building collapsed. One of the great difficulties we have in terms of bringing information to you at this point is, on the one hand, we have all kinds of information from Candlestick Park, where mercifully very little has happened other than that the World Series have been canceled and all the people who were in the stadium have been asked to leave, and all but a few, including Al Michaels and our ABC sports staff out there, have evacuated the area. We know what's happening there. We can show you, by virtue of the Goodyear blimp and our camera on board that blimp, some aerial shots of San Francisco, but it is night there now, and what you can see, we're looking at it, are what appear to be rows of lights, but those, I hasten to remind you, are rows of cars, most of them stalled in traffic, and those are the automobile headlights that you're looking at there. For the most part,
are being detoured and having to try to make their way homes otherwise.
All right, thank you very much, Senator Marks, who is from Watsonville, California. Can we just show you a moment where we are and what we're talking about here? This is San Francisco. Do we have camera 2 or not? I guess we don't. We only have 1 camera. Okay, we're going to show you now pictures of KRON in San Francisco and what they're showing to us now, and Bob Jameson is there.
Which is drawing water from the bay and connecting to...
Tom, are you...
I'm listening to you, Bob.
Oh, Tom, excuse me, we're a little bit confused. I am now in the NBC News Bureau where we have no lights and no power.
All right, I'm going to tell you what we're looking at, Bob. We're looking at some pictures of people who are being attended to, provided by KRON. And what they're showing some people who are on gurneys and on stretchers and being evacuated from some areas. You by now have had a fairly good tour of the city. Is most of the damage in your eye confined to that North Beach or Fisherman's Wharf area?
The Fisherman's Wharf area, to about a 2-block area, Tom. That's my understanding. And of course, there is a tragedy of some proportions. We are being told on Interstate 880 near Oakland. I don't know whether that's been reported to you yet, has it?
Yes, it has, that there were perhaps as many as 40 people who were killed there. We're attempting to verify that.
That's the number that we are also hearing here in San Francisco, Tom. But again, I caution you, as I did earlier, that communications are a very, very serious problem. You would not know, going around this city, except in those areas of damage, that there had been an earthquake, except for the fact that there are no lights on. The city is comporting itself remarkably.
This is CBC.
Again, I can't tell you for certain that that is tape there of what you are seeing or what we have been seeing live, but it appears to me to be in the neighborhood and similar to the types of homes that would be involved in the inferno that we've seen in the Marina District. Well, everybody in San Francisco just euphoric, and throughout the Bay Area we've documented that, and I'm sure people know how excited this entire area was to have the whole World Series being played here. So there was a sense of celebration, and everybody was filing into Candlestick Park, and it was to have been the first World Series game to be played at Candlestick Park in 27 years. And we were just coming on the air. We have a pregame show that begins at 5 o'clock. I think first pitch was scheduled in the neighborhood of 5:20 or 5:25. And so the crowd was still filing in, and people, I'm sure, were still parking their cars. Some of them, even though, as I mentioned, most of the people appeared to have been in the stadium, they were about ready, as I recall, on the field to introduce the lineups, to introduce the crowd to the players. They had a band playing, and it was just a very celebratory type of mood that had permeated Candlestick at that point, when all of a sudden, I'm sure to those who have not lived through this type of thing, there had to be a sense of what in the world was going on. As Tim McCarver mentioned, he began to think that the crowd was stopping for whatever reason. It wasn't a point where you would expect something like that. You might expect something like that during the course of a rally. Those of us who've been here and have been through them, it didn't take very long for us to understand that this was an earthquake, and you just have a feeling of holding on at that point, because you don't know if it will get worse. You don't know if you will get that tremendous jolt that you all fear, and certainly in a precarious position of being in a baseball stadium and not on the field, and in essence the bottom of the upper deck. It was just a horrible moment, and we were on the air, and it was a case of, as I say, us feeling, or at least me feeling, that we were going backwards for just a second, and we're about to collapse onto the lower deck. In fact, I understand you're seeing right now what we were going through, and I was looking back at that point, knowing what was going on. Tim and Jim, Jim I know has lived in California off and on for years as well, but it takes a little while for the reality of it to settle in. And again, you know you have been through a quake. The key was, I think, why people were, not, I don't want to say giddy or anything, but when we went out onto the mezzanine and the fans were talking baseball and will the game be resumed, they had no sense, of course, of the magnitude of this. As I say, had this been centered here, it wouldn't have done very much damage outside the epicenter, but it obviously was a major earthquake at its epicenter, and we obviously felt the effects here.
Yeah, I know. I just saw it.
During the lead-up, Mr. President, we're going to leave the television set on so you can begin to see the beginning of the post-game ceremony. Again, the audio will be here.
Yeah.
When it comes time to do the interview, we're going to switch the monitor off because of the satellite delay problem. We don't want that to distract you.
Now, where's the... Is that the phone?
No, this speaker here.
Yeah.
You'll hear Jim Lampley, sportscaster from Palo Alto, with Coach Bill Walsh.
Oh, so I don't need a phone?
No, sir.
Oh, I thought I was going to at least be pretending that I was phoning in.
Okay, Randy, what's my absolute latest? 60, 56, 10? Huh? I hope they do a quick rep to then tell them. I ain't going to make it. Out of time. Night. As long as the clothes ran. Randy? How long is the close? Ready, Rand? 35. Ready? Just give me a 10-second cue. Ready? Thanks for joining us on this edition of Larry King Overnight. You have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Good morning.
He's still going to take me, which I think is...
Larry's going to take you?
Yeah.
That's nice.
And yeah, she was real nice too. She said, listen, you have to take her. She really does seem great, though, Bruce.
Oh, mate. Let's see. This is a minute 15 break.
It's not easy out there.
This is pretty rudimentary, but I want to try to show you as best I can, and we'll do this with this map that we've jerry-built here. This is the city of San Francisco, as you know, right here. And what we're talking about is the Bay Bridge that goes across here that has collapsed, and then Interstate 8080 runs down along here, and that's where we're told that maybe as many as 40 people have been killed, and it's right in this area, we believe, that there has been another collapse of a section that would lead south to San Jose, in which maybe 53 people were killed. But it is this bridge that we've been looking at. That's the Long Bay Bridge. For those of you who are familiar with the area, this is the Golden Gate Bridge as it goes across the Golden Gate. We're going to go now to Conan Nolan of KNBC in Los Angeles, and he is at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Conan, what are you seeing and hearing?
Tom, there are thousands of baseball fans still here mingling outside Candlestick Park, primarily because there's no place to go. The earthquake, which took place at 5:04 Pacific time, left the Bay Area in utter chaos. It continues to be that way right now. There are two bridges that are down in that they are not usable. The San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge suffered major structural damage. In fact, 2 automobiles were hit with debris from the eastern part of the bridge and sent into the water. We understand that all of San Francisco now is in chaos. There's absolutely no way to get around in the city. The streetlights are out. We also understand there's a major fire still taking place in the Marina District, which is the gateway, if you will, to the Golden Gate Bridge. According to the Office of Emergency Services in Sacramento, the death toll from this earthquake is 40, the largest earthquake to hit this area since 1906. Conan Nolan reporting live from San Francisco. Back to you.
Thank you, Conan. And just to bring you up to date, the earthquake toll now has gone higher than that. We are told that at least 40 people have died on Interstate Route 880, which is near Oakland. On the other side of the bridge, it would be along the east side of the San Francisco Bay. As many as 53 people have been killed on one approach to the Bay Bridge, which is on the San Francisco side. 7 or 8 people in San Francisco confirmed dead so far. David Polinat from Palo Alto.
Through the streets of San Francisco, but basically San Francisco tonight, which has been hit.
Emergency overwhelmed. Victims have all kinds of various degrees of injuries, various severity of their injuries, but they are overwhelmed doing emergency surgeries for people who were caught in that.
Officer, thank you very much. We'll be back to you, of course, during the course of the evening. We want to go now to a tape we took earlier, an interview with Mayor Art Agnos, to give you some idea of how the city is dealing with this.
Seems in reasonably good shape. The lights are out in most of the city, although the emergency light seems to be on in those areas like hospitals and those kinds of facilities. The most serious problem we can see from the air is a tremendous traffic jam, mainly in those areas trying to leave the city. And we're urging people to stay home, not get in their cars, or get home through back streets if they're trying to go through to their homes in San Francisco. The chief and I were just discussing we need to try and get some extra help along 19th Avenue, the area out by the marina. That fire seems to be under control now, and what we need to do is get the traffic that obviously is trying to get out of the city through the few outlets we have, that is the Golden Gate Bridge and down the peninsula, moving smoothly. Right now it seems to be heavy traffic.
Did you get a chance to look at the Bay Bridge, Mayor?
Yeah, we went by the Bay Bridge. It's a little bit dark there, but it clearly is badly damaged with the upper deck sort of dropped down into the lower deck. There's no traffic movement. Yes.
We're tossing to you cold 8:30.
Okay, to Koppel.
Koppel is coming to you.
And Lieutenant Governor Leo McCarthy. Lieutenant Governor Leo McCarthy is on the phone. And are they going to try and get him?
Okay. You ready for that? That's after this? That's after I read they didn't have triathlons in our day? Okay. You want to try it now? Well, John, they didn't have those triathlons in our day. Then again, when I played football, there were guys who played offense and defense, and you still had to stay in the kick. Some guys never left the field, in fact. They showed some pretty good endurance, too. And then we go to Okay. And now, all of us have been waiting with bated breath for this moment, the announcement of the All-Madden team. John, again, this is one that you started last year. This is the second annual, and it takes a special kind of player.
Well, it takes a special type of player and a special type of thing we do here. We have rules like, with this team, you can't count. If you can count, then you can't be on, because we have more guys than you should have. So rule one is when we go to play, we're going to cheat, and if that doesn't work, we'll quit, and we never lose.
And you know we're not going to quit. Give us the defensive team, John.
Here they are. One of my favorite positions on the field is nose tackle. Those guys are right in the middle of everything. I think they have the most fun. Oh yeah, they get blocked by the center. Then a guard comes over. Then the center hits them again. It's got to be a little frustrating. You know, sometimes they even resort to tricks like spinners and stuff. Trouble is, usually by the time the nose tackle gets to the quarterback, well, the pass is already gone. That's why in my team, I'm going to have all nose tackles. I'm going to line them up right behind each other. Boom, boom, boom. I'll start with Jim Burt of the Giants. He's one of the lucky nose tackles. He got a sack in the playoffs against Joe Montana and the 49ers. Of course, it had to be a little trick there. He got a little help from Leonard Marshall on this one. You know, the thing I like about Jim Burt is, look at that jersey. That 6 is under his right arm. The 4 is under his left arm. No one's going to hold Jim Burt. Okay. Now, Pat will lead to this, like, say, how you going to line them all up? Yeah, how you going to line up all those nose tackles? Have some guy lined up there outside who can handle things. And sometimes he can come inside like this. So then I would have him coming in with all 7 of the nose tackles. I tell you, we'd really raise havoc in there. And then sometimes we'd leave him outside like this. Let him come in from the outside and strip the quarterback. And then, of course, anyone that can celebrate in the snow like this has to be in the all-Madden team.
That's going to be hard. You got 7 nose tackles and Richard Dent. How are you going to line them all up?
I'm going to line them all up in a row. Watch this. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Michael Carter right over the center. Now, these nose tackles always get double teamed, so we're going to triple team this center. Look, here's Carter. Then I'm going to have Klecko line up cockeyed like
let them burn. You certainly would not want to put that fire out if the gas was going to continue.
Chief, forgive me for interrupting you, but we have apparently some late-breaking developments out at KGO, so we switch back now to our affiliate out in San Francisco, KGO.
Oakland and Berkeley, and of course at San Francisco, the hardest hit right now that we are aware of is the Marina District, where several buildings fell on the Divisadero Street area, and people were roaming in the streets, and very, very terrifying. In the car, they thought they had a flat tire. Many other people did. The folks just left their cars on the bridge, locked them up, and ran into San Francisco. I have with me right now Dan Levitt. You were out at Candlestick, Game 3 of the World Series. That isn't happening now, Dan.
No, it's not, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what the method or what the operation will be here now as far as the World Series goes, period. At 5:04, I was standing outside of the stadium in the van, as a matter of fact, one of the Channel 7 vans. It started moving, and obviously I thought somebody was playing around with me, and so I jumped out of the van. As I jumped out, I saw the entire parking lot moving like this. I looked up at the structures in the stadium itself. The light standards were moving. It was at that time that Eric Christensen, my producer, and we took off and tried to get a hold of some authorities. And the first one we could get to, of course, was the commissioner of baseball, who was waiting in his box on the first base side, waiting to see if he could get some word, and we finally got it from him, and this was it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are postponing the game because there is no power in the stadium. We would like you to leave in an orderly way. I don't believe there's any great danger, but we have no idea when the power is going to be on, and we have to get people out of here before it gets dark. So if you'll leave in an orderly way while there's still light, I think everybody can leave in a graceful fashion. Please leave. The game has been postponed. There'll be no baseball tonight. Thank you.
A few words? Do you know the extent of what's happened so far?
No, not all I have at this point is I talked to our operations center. They say that there is a building with partial damage at 6th and Brannan. There's also a building with partial collapse around Turk and Fillmore, and that there is some structural damage to the Hall of Justice. I'm going to be leaving the ballpark now to go down to the Hall of Justice while they're continuing to get an estimate around the city of any kind of damage, and then we'll make a determination there as to what's to be done. But our command post will be located at Northern Police Station at Turk and Fillmore.
What may be the understatement of the night, that announcement by Fay Vincent, the commissioner of baseball, that there will be no baseball tonight. The question is when, if at all, there will be baseball again in the Bay Area in the very near future, because we have already heard now, albeit indirectly, that they may be without power in the Bay Area for as much as 72 hours still.
Have you heard from Elmo in Tokyo? Ha ha ha. Having fun with sushi. Knowing Elmo, he's probably rubbing it all over his body and praying for a tan.
Oh, wait a second. Come on. I blush easily.
Well, I think that I'm looking at Rinker, yes.
Yes,
I'm looking at the monitor. Now, over here, I have Janine in a lens box, and I'm looking at Janine over here, I think.
Yeah, but raise your level of eye contact.
She's up here somewhere.
Too much, high. Down here.
You're looking at that.
Right there, yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Very serious. Very serious.
This is a man who could use a Norelco
Oh, boo hiss.
for your birthday.
That piece of foam on the table over there is what I'm using right now. Yeah,
That looks great.
Great. Some people have said the same thing about my personality, but it's fine.
Here, Anchorage and Fairbanks at the same time. That would only be in a conference situation, which we are not set up for now.
Okay.
We're talking to either one or the other.
That's fine.
All right.
Just
But you
so...
but you can hear both Anchorage and Fairbanks at the same time, Chuck.
I can? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in Fairbanks, remember?
Yeah.
Of course I can hear Fairbanks. You
Sorry,
mean Juneau?
Juneau. You can hear us and Enders at the same time.
Yeah, you guys sort of come and go, and at your best, I can hear you both perfectly well. Enders is pretty strong.
Great.
Yeah.
Just get a
Okay.
lump of carpet. We keeping you
Okay,
well?
Don Dick
Yes.
says the reason that he is so loud is that he's not coming through a mic. He says he's on a phone, and therefore he's louder.
Ah. Fascinating.
Yeah, that's much better.
I
won't tell him what I'm
our
using.
ideals are high. Oh, beautiful. It's beautiful. We don't hear anything. If we are supposed
of bad elements like the NPAs riding on the trouble, riding on the so-called people's power, ay yung maging kawing-kawing na mga pangyayari na magiging bunga ng sitwasyong ito na hindi ka nais at hindi maganda.
Well, isang nakagaganda dito sa pagkakataong ito, tila yata ang mga tao sa kakulangan naman ng kanilang kaalaman, umaasa na at malaki ang ngayon ng pagtawag nila doon sa Poong May Kapal, sapagkat kung makikita ninyo doon sa mga people power, makikita naman ninyo meron pang mga fiera dyan, may mga sasakyan, may mga estatwa ng Santo Niño, ng Birhen, na, well, I guess in any critical time, ang tao kung kakulang ng nalalaman, ang ginagawa na lang nagdarasal na lang sa Diyos. At yun naman hindi masama, maganda ngayon sapagkat umaasa sila doon sa Poon na tulungan nyo kami para kami maliwanagan din at lahat ng tao ay maliwanagan. So, maganda. Palagay ko nadidinig naman ng kanilang mga panalangin sa dami.
Ika nga Frankie sa English, more things are wrought by prayers than this world can dream of.
When things go wrong, people turn to religion. That's fine.
Yun nga lamang, ka-Ray, ka-Frankie, na yung contradiction that's happening, nalulungkot naman tayo na yung dalawang drafting natin sa Channel 4, pinaslang nila, tsaka yung dalawang civilian, kasama na doon yung na-heart attack. Samantalang mayroon dala silang religious statue sa loob ng sasakyan. Yun ngayon ang nagiging dilemma rin ng silent majority. Totoo nga ba yan? Mapansin nyo, ang pagmamahal ng Pangulo sa bawat Pilipino, para bang yung reaction ng Israeli na nawala lang ang dalawang sundalo. Imagine, practically
4,000 ang sumubok
launching a limited offensive in southern Lebanon. Doon mo makikita yung pagpapahalaga sa bawat buhay ng Pangulong Marcos, na bawat buhay ng Pilipino, na kaya't marahil yung kanyang maximum tolerance sa sinusunod ng ating mga kasama sa military, at impatient nga yung ibang political leaders na kung ganun lang sir, tumawag yung sa Pangulong Marcos kagabi, sir, di paramihan na lang ng tao po dito po sa harap ng Mindiola. Kung ganun din lang pala, tatawagin natin doon dyan, tatawagin na ang mga kabig na lalawigan, palulusungin na lahat sa Manila. And let us admit it, even in the election, hindi ba natalo rito Pangulo?
Right.
Hindi ba natalo? Sa mga kapatid, natural na medyo marami-raming tao, pero hindi ibig sabihin na natalo na completely na natalo ang presidente. Sapagkat ang krami hindi Pilipinas. Sa geography natin, ang krami 1 punto lang sa Pilipinas
Ang nakakatuwa nga dito, meron ngang nagkakausap-usap. Sabi nila, Doon sa Vietnam, nagkatalo doon sa body count, pero body ng mga patay. Dito naman, body count din ang pinag-uusapan, pero buhay. Marami ko noon, sabi nung kabila.
Well, you're right when it is confusing. First of all, the Philippines is probably the only country in the world right now with two presidents. This morning, Corazon Aquino said that she was taking power of the government. This happened at a ceremony perhaps 6 miles from here on the outskirts of Manila at a country club attended by many of her supporters. Her vice presidential candidate, Salvador Laurel, was named her vice president. She went on to call in for the resignations of all members of the existing government, starting with the Supreme Court, and went ahead and named her cabinet. And it is no surprise that the two top Marcos military men who quit him on Saturday are high-ranking members in the new Aquino cabinet.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the ecumenical invocation.
Manalangin tayo. O Diyos, Ama na may likha at taga-subaybay ng lahat na kinapal, sa makahalugang sandali na ito ng pagtatalaga sa halal ng Pangulo at pangalawang Pangulo ng aming bansa, tumatawag kami sa iyo at dumadalangin. Ang kamay na inyong pagkupkop ay nabanag namin sa pagkakandilim mo sa aming mga halal na pinuno, sa pagliligtas mo sa kanila sa panganib, sa pagkaloob mo sa kanila ng buhay. Ang tinig mo ay pinakinggan namin sa sigaw ng bayan na namayani sa kabila ng magulong pag-alinlangan. O Diyos, kailangan namin upang pagbigay pag-asa sa mga nawalan ng pag-asa, sa kanilang ang mga pangarap ay mabigo. Ngayon, O Diyos, maging maliwanag nawa sa aming pagdinig ang inyong hamon. Ang pagtatalaga sa panghirap ay pagtatalaga sa pananagutan. Sa pasasalamat namin sa iyong pahayag, tinatanggap namin ang iyong hamon. Isang bansa naghaharap ng pag-asa, naghaharap ng isang bukas na mapayapa at maligaya. O Diyos, iabot mo ang inyong kamay sa amin upang masagan namin para sa iba ng ginawa mo sa aming paglingkod sa hindi paghanap ng kabayaran malibon sa paghahatid ng ligaya at pag-asa. Ibahagi mo sa amin ang damdamin ng iyong puso upang maging bukas ang aming kalooban sa pananawagan ng mga pagdurusa at pagtitiis. Punuin mo kami ng inyong katilang upang magkaroon kami ng lakas na harapin ang hirap at magampanan namin ang atas mong tungkulin. O Diyos, kailanman ang hindi mo pinabayaan ang inyong mga hinirang. Pinag-ugnay mo kami sa buklod ng pagkakaisa upang italaga ang aming buhay sa panganib. Ikaw ang magiging patnubay ng aming pagsisisi.
Good. We're technically tapped in for half a second. We are? Okay, yeah. Good. You want to do a little fun again? Sure. Soft shoe? On your right? Steve's right. Oh, yeah. And Martinez has not even made anything yet. Patrick and Washington, you guys did all the money. Martinez, all the things we had. It was eloquent. Well, I haven't heard from Martinez yet. I can't even right there. Okay, straight on. I can't see my tie straight. Is his tie straight? Yes. I don't think they mind if his tie's not straight. Do you see much sheet of paper out there anywhere? Back in politics, trying to think that. Never heard the last one.
Okay, we're going to have to go
today? Do you know when it's all of them?
7 o'clock. Okay, we're going to have to go.
Wrong IFB. Can I find out who that is?
I hope I'll know.
Are you going to change that tape or do you want to leave it on? Okay. Okay.
He says that's fine.
Okay, leave them alone. Don't change anything else. Oh, you got
That's
the
now. That's 5. 5 and 8 are both.
He says go back to what you had.
That 5 was what 8 was what I had.
Leave that.
Okay.
Karen, let's go through it.
Okay.
Dan, the Democrats may have won 3 Senate seats, at least so far in the South, but as you've reported, they're still running very tough, close races in Georgia and Louisiana. As you know, this used to be the solid South, the one region the Democrats could automatically count on. But something's been happening here in Dixie. Listen to these numbers. In 1980, over half of white Southern voters, 52%, said they were Democrats. Just 19% called themselves Republican. But tonight, based on our exit polls, the South appears pretty much split between Democrats and Republicans. Dan, it's clear that a lot of people who told our pollsters that they were Republicans, at least tonight, went Democratic. And this only in the South footnote, Dan, George Wallace Jr., the son of the Alabama governor, became the Alabama state treasurer tonight, and Martin Luther King III, whose father was the famous civil rights leader, won election to the Fulton County Commission in Georgia.
Okay.
Do you want me to tape that together and cut the blackout out of there?
Huh?
Give me another copy. I'll try to tape it and cut the blackout out. That's fine.
No, sorry.
That's easily done.
If that'll roll it through smoother for
Would
you, I
you
can
be
do
more
it.
comfortable?
Can you give me one of those?
What?
One of those.
Blank Brooks?
No, eucalyptic. Thanks. Right, I gotta state wrong. I gotta state wrong. What did they win? Florida, North Carolina,
Yes.
and Louisiana?
Yes.
So Georgia and Alabama. Okay. Can you change LA to ALA? Just put an A in front of it.
Bernie? Hi, Gary.
Hi, Denver.
Some more attractive alternatives to Reagan policies than we've done in the past 6 years. I and others
Tomorrow night at 8, it's action-packed adventure and fun for the whole family when Martin Milner stars in the classic tale of life on an island paradise and the search for buried treasure in The Swiss Family Robinson. Don't miss it tomorrow night at 8.
I'm Bryant Gumbel. Later this morning on Today, we'll talk of keeping students in college. We'll celebrate 15 years of Saturday Night Live, and American consumers rate their favorite products. Later this morning on Today. I'm Bryant Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today, we'll examine the high cost of treating AIDS. We'll also talk with Chevy Chase and look at Hollywood's classic films. Join us tomorrow morning on Today.
Then on Donahue. Why would a man hit the woman he loves? Violence has become commonplace in many male-female relationships. Is beating up a woman just another side of passion for these men, or is it something they learned at home? We'll get some answers from husbands who admit to battering their wives on the next Donahue.
That concludes the Affiliate Advertising and Promotion Services feed.
I don't think anyone thought this game would end up being the first ever fog bowl. This is what it looked like from the stands. You could barely see a few yards in front of you. Forget about watching the game. But you know something? Nobody was really complaining.
We're trying to see our best all the way through. This young lady is a meteorologist, and she's been looking through it, and I'm kind of reading off her.
Doing my best, yeah.
You pay all this money for seats. It's supposed to be sunny today. You guys predicted clear weather. Look at this.
Well, we got them for free from Dan Hampton, number 99. Yeah!
What are we supposed to do, really? We're enjoying it, though. Bears will win.
We're about halfway up Soldier Field. You can barely see 10 feet in front of you. And for the fans who brought TV sets, it's just as bad. They can't see a darn thing either.
I'm having a ball. This is great. As long as they win, that's all that matters.
Hey, you can see the score on your television set.
Yeah, that's good. Just so the Bears are on top. That's what counts.
Oh, let it go! Roll it! Roll it!
All right. The commercial's coming very well, too.